The Mortal Kombat games or universe, or one could say the different universes within the Mortal Kombat, have different fighters and they all are unique in their own way, different power levels, different strengths and weaknesses. And there's a lot of time travel shenanigans going on, but the time travel shenanigans happens in the main game, so it's kind of weird to not put them all in the same video. For the sake of confusion purposes, I'm going to purposely leave out comic book stuff, even though there's a good argument to be made. A lot of the comics are canon, but some aren't, so it gets a little confusing. So for the sake of this, I won't be having comic. Because when it comes to video game characters, I think the safest bet to determine if something's canon or not is to go off the video games, right? I want to go over this deity known as Fujin, god of the winds. I mean, you got mortals in this universe that have superpowers, but then you have beings that are actual gods that stand above the rest. Like you got Raiden, god of thunder, you got Fujin, he's in that same category. You got elder gods, other mighty warriors still. Even mortals can hang with gods from time to time when it comes to just hanging in there. Like when Johnny Cage gets his magic power green aura, he can hang with elder gods like Shinnok. Same with his daughter, Cassie Cage. He doesn't have the most showing, so don't be surprised if he lacks screen time. But lack of screen time doesn't necessarily mean lack of power level. In his lore, one of the last few remaining deities other than Raiden still remaining, Fujin. It's not a lot to go off of, but let's get into it when it comes to analyzing how strong he is. He's skilled using weapons. He even uses crossbows. Y'all remember when Shang Tsung was stuck in ice and he couldn't get out? Guess who's the one that get him out? Fujin with this crossbow. Let you know how strong this crossbow is too to break out of this ice that Shang Tsung couldn't break out of. Crossbow and a sword if needed. In a way, his wind manipulation can help him pick up stuff like telekinesis, one could say, like lifting up all these beings to help them fly, basically. So basically, I'm going to bring up a few things in this video. I'm going to bring up how he can just straight up hit you with physical attacks, but then he can, shoot you with his crossbow. Just like Raiden, he can use other weapons like a staff, for example, like he does in this occasion, fighting a whole bunch of entities. Might I add it's a bladed staff. Then he has like a form of blast power when he uses wind just to blast you with it. A great example of his superhuman strength, these entities, these demons that he can just chop in half with his striking power, with a staff, of course. Takes the head off of more than one entity with one attack, like doom, both heads. These melee weapons seem to be durable too, but he can also get the job done with martial arts skills and blunt punches like you saw him do here, or with a straight up kick to the face. So we know he already has super strength, but what about his blast power? His blast power is pretty insane, being able to manipulate wind, holding back these revenants for Quan Chi with his blast on this occasion. With his wind manipulation, he can create his own tornadoes by blasting these demons in the air. Another showcase of his blast power. He's constantly shown to be able to lift up stuff with his wind and then slam them. Even in this occasion, lifting up multiple, then slamming them backwards. We've even seen him do it to help amplify his teammates, like how he did the Nightwolf and made him spin faster to slice up beings. There's some moves that are not canon, some of the moves they do in gameplay, but some of them are actually canon to their power levels. Like, for example, he can actually do this in the lore or in cutscenes, like blow your skin off with his blast power, shown here on how he actually skinned a outworld feline entity. Like, this is actually in cutscenes, not just gameplay, by the way. It shows just because they do it in gameplay doesn't mean they can't do it in the lore. When we're talking about Raiden and Fujin, I think we all know that Fujin and Raiden are around the same level of power when it comes to how destructive each could be, even though they both have different elements they control. If the two were to fight, they would be pretty close. I mean, this is even proven in narrative when we actually seen Fujin and Raiden scuffle. Matter of fact, Raiden was under the influence of Shinnok's amulet here, being technically amped up, one could say. And we pretty much see Fujin counter a blast from him during cutscenes and not just gameplay mechanics. It was stated here the amulet inflames his anger and clouds his judgment. And Fujin was able to knock some sense into Raiden, telling him to listen. So let you know they got to be somewhere in the same range of power. Remember, Raiden can level buildings at least, bare minimum. Because we've actually seen Raiden use lightning that drill through multiple floors of a temple. When it comes to the destructive raw power Raiden can produce, Fujin should be able to do this too, going through all these different floors of his temple. I think it's believable that Fujin can level a temple or a building with his blast power, right? That's lower end. That should be obvious, right? Leveling building type stuff shouldn't be nothing new. I mean, even in a new game, they imply they can easily level buildings or even an entire city like a mage can do. I know this right here isn't particularly Fujin doing the feat, but this can kind of give you an idea of the people in this universe power levels are when it comes to leveling buildings, city blocks, cities themselves with their destructive power. Like, we got magic mages out here that can literally level an entire city with, producing magic to make waves to drown it out like that to produce that much power. Great city laying in ruins because of the power these beings can summon. This can kind of give you a ballpark of the standard. This being isn't even necessarily a deity, just like a mage. Rain, devastation on his level. ending thousands of lives. Even stated here, this is not Fujin, but rain summoned a wave so vast of power that it crested the capital. And we literally see the water spread throughout it. You know, it's just standard stuff. This is just a warm-up of the crazy destructive stuff. Mortal Kombat people, you're going to see more of this kind of stuff later on in this video. But he should, by default, being a deity, should be able to do similar stuff like leveling a city if he wanted to be destructive with his winds or whatever. Like, it's one of the things we probably won't ever see. But hypothetically speaking, if beings like Rain can do that with summoning a wave, who's to say Fujin couldn't do something similar by summoning a big giant tornado that covers up the whole city or destroys the whole city that way or something? Who's to say Fujin couldn't do something like that? Having city trembling might. You know what I mean? Stuff like that you got to think about. Okay, so since we kind of already established that Raiden and Fujin are within the same ballpark of power, let's look at the opponents they fought. This is a better way to get an understanding of how strong these characters truly are. They might not have on-screen flashy visual showings as much, but in their lore, there's implications that they could. Like Fujin and Raiden getting in scuffles with elder gods like Shinnok, for example, who's another deity they had to withstand blasts from, and blasts from elder gods like Shinnok. So it lets you know they're always fighting these elder god type entities. There's some interesting but vague feats in the past of Raiden and Shinnok fighting in the past. At past games, one could say old timeline, because there's a lot of time travel shenanigans crap. It was in the Mortal Kombat Mythology's official website, by the way. It was talking about how Shinnok existed as an elder god. They're the true rulers of all the realms. This is where it's stated right here where he faced a young thunder god known as Raiden. Their battle for the Earth realm was fierce. Now this is where it gets vague. They talk about how it was fierce and caused the planet's near destruction. This is very vague. Did this happen over a month, 2 days? There's no really specifics on it. That's really vague. It seemed like it was a threat to the whole planet. Two godly beings fighting, plunging it into centuries of darkness. Like, seriously, could Raiden level a city with one attack? Could he level a country, a whole continent? They talk about the Earth was getting near and close to destruction from it. It's really vague though. The more you dissect the MK top tier characters, the more you realize that a lot of these statements aren't really an exaggeration about them being able to level a city, country, or continent and stuff like that. Because Raiden, I know I'm bringing up Raiden a lot. Just hold on with me. Raiden's somebody that's similar to Fujin, obviously. They're both deities. Fujin already proved he's on par with him, like I showed in this vid. Even while amped up, there was a time when Raiden was weakened because Outworld and the Earth was merging. He battled this super strong being known as Shao Kahn. And then they state that they fought until the very core of the Earth was shaken. You're probably thinking, oh, it's just a pun. They don't really mean it. I would have thought that if they didn't have super moves that look like this. We're talking about other elder gods. They have super moves that imply that these statements are legit. Her fatality, you know, it's a non-canon move apparently, but her ability to be able to do this is technically canon. Her ability to get large, for her to even be able to get large enough to look like bigger than continents and stuff, it kind of gives you some sort of writer intent on where they want these beings' power levels to truly be when they just really want to show out. You're probably thinking, she can't really grow this big. This is strictly gameplay, because if she could, why didn't she do this against Fire God Liu Kang? Same with Kronika, somebody that literally got her power. Why didn't Kronika grow to the size of a planet and just try to fight Fire God Liu Kang? There's no like exact answer to this because I'm not the developers of the game, but if I got a theory that her growing this large wouldn't have helped anything, and her power level's already the same level at her being normal small size. That's the only thing I see making any kind of sense why she didn't do this against Fire God Liu Kang in the cutscene. Or she could have did it, or it just made herself a bigger target for Fire God Liu Kang to hit combos on her with. You know what I mean? I don't even know if the size would have mattered against how strong Liu Kang has gotten at that point. It's like how Ant-Man for Marvel can shrink real small, right? But he can keep all his strength from when he's large. And if you try to fight him as a large human, you're just basically a huger target. I think this could be a reason on why she didn't do this against Fire God Liu Kang, because it simply wouldn't have mattered because Fire God Liu Kang was just too strong for it at the time. And then you have statements like this in the lore saying stuff like this. It kind of makes it seem like that those type of powers that they show in the fatalities is not an exaggeration. Not to mention it was stated
thousands of years ago in a battle with the fallen elder god known as Shinnok, I was responsible for the death of an entire civilization. I waged a war that plunged the earth into centuries of darkness.
So when you put all this information like this together, her getting this large doesn't seem that far-fetched when you hear all these other previous statements of them shaking the earth to the very core, threatening to plunging the earth into centuries of darkness by waging a war. And then you got in a new game of characters like Fire God Liu Kang, who's basically Raiden and Liu Kang combined. Hence, Raiden and Liu Kang combined. Don't mind me, he can just casually create black holes with a snap. But you know, don't judge me. Like, I'm not trying to say that Fujin or Raiden are anywhere near Fire God Liu Kang, but the part of the reason why Fire God Liu Kang is even able to create a black hole is because of Raiden, and Fujin's comparable to Raiden. You see where this is going? Super moves like this do not seem like an exaggeration when you think about all this stuff to be considered. Speaking of which, this same being known as Cicheron, who's an elder god who can apparently grow planet-sized or close to planet size, at least moon size, when everybody pretty much ganged up on Citron, of course. Fujin was able to use his wind blast power basically to produce so much power to where he messed up Citron really badly to where she had to retreat. Of course, they had to team up on her, of course, but he had to do all of this work to damage her, implying that if he can do this to somebody with this level of power, damage her that severely, it's a good chance Fujin himself can shake the earth himself, like them previous statements of Raiden battling other Elder Gods and making the earth almost go extinct and crap. Or if you don't want to say he can tremble the earth, well, what if we say he can tremble something smaller, the moon or something smaller than the earth? He should be able to at least tremble if these beings that they compete against can grow almost the size of earth. Saying he can tremble the moon should be fair at least, right? Fujin did this. While I will admit that while the realms were in crisis, it was confirmed that Citron, the Elder God that was able to grow planet size, apparently was weakened to some degree when Fujin did this. But to what degree is really unknown. But this should be considered, I guess. But it's really up for interpretation. Do you really think Fujin and them could tremble the planet? Possibly destroy it? Destroy the moon, maybe? Hey, you remember this being known as Chronica, which is she's technically a higher rank than even the Elder Gods. It's even mentioned here when they're asking about, who are you, Chronica? Are you one of Raiden's Elder Gods? It was stated that she's much more than the Elder God, higher ranked than the Elder Gods, probably even at their best. I mean, it's stated here, she's a Titan. And this is her without her crown on her head. You know, she has two different modes in this story mode. Her without her crown, which is still outranking the Elder Gods, and then her with her crown, which is even more impressive. What if I told you there was a point Fujin got amped up with this overpowered crown? This is something I'm assuming he should technically be able to do in his base form, but hey, this crown amped him up to where he do stuff like this with ease, this big old gate. You gotta remember when this Titan blasted Fujin with this helmet on, he was able to deflect her blast back at her. Like with the crown, nobody's safe with the crown, man. It's like everything becomes one-sided when you have the crown on. You see her getting trapped. Thanks to Fujin's win, she's trapped and getting damaged by Shang Tsung and them working together. But at the end of the day, everybody, all of this could be just me. How strong do you think Fujin is? Respect the gods of Mortal Kombat. And thanks for the donations, folks. Helps out a lot. I'll see you later. Respect Fujin. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.